This is a very brief video on the subject of whether or not a bow could be used as a hand-to-hand combat weapon. First off, bows are not designed to be used for striking and parrying, and compared to even a simple wooden staff, they are profoundly ill-suited for the task. However, there is some evidence that using bows for melee combat was done historically, specifically by Western Native Americans. The most prominent example comes from the Hidatsa tribe, who made asymmetric short bows out of ash. Ethnographic reports indicate that in a life or death situation, these bows could be used as a club without breaking in the process. This was due at least in part to the reported resilience of ash, and also due to the stout and stiff construction of bows meant for warfare. Another interesting phenomenon, though admittedly one with a large caveat, is the so-called bow lance that existed among some Plains Indian cultures. This was a bow with a blade of metal or flint attached to the tip of one limb. Hidatsa sources describe how a young man carried the spear-headed bow on his arm to enhance his appearance, or he carried it in war and sometimes struck an enemy or speared him with it. 19th century ledger art depicts the bladed ends of the oversized bows as being used to lacerate opponents on the battlefield. However, substantial doubt existed even among contemporary natives as to whether or not these ornamental bow lances were actually functional for launching arrows, or if they were even useful as lances. These richly decorated weapons were apparently carried primarily as a part of a warrior's regalia, either during courting behavior or when participating in the ostentatious parades and ceremonies of the various cult-like military societies. Perhaps their ultimate origin was as a genuine form of hybrid weapon, but unfortunately, this story has been lost in the depths of time. The final example is not derived from historical sources. It's hypothetical, but it is something I think deserves to be considered reasonably plausible. In the opening scenes of the movie The Revenant, an Arikara warrior grapples with the main character and attempts to throttle him with the handle of his bow. The Plains Indian style short bows I've encountered seem to bend primarily in the outer limbs, so conceivably, the rigid center handle and the non working inner limbs could be effective at choking or crushing an opponent's windpipe. In conclusion, using a bow to strike, pierce, or strangle someone is in no way ideal, but it's not impossible, and the evidence does suggest that some historical archers may have done it from time to time when faced with the opportunity and no viable alternatives.